Hi, and welcome again. I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered how olive oil is made? I'm here to explain. So it all starts with the trees, of course. All of the Greece is famous for their olive oil. However, the region where we live, Peloponnesos, is known for the olive oil in particular. The best olive oil comes from here. And it all starts with the trees. The main variety of olive oil or like the main variety of trees that we have here is called Koroneiki. This is the olives that are kind of small. They are not very big. They are not good for eating, like, the olives you get in the jar. Those ones are the variety called Kalamata, which is nearby. The city Kalamata is not far from us. Anyway, the first step in gathering olives is putting those sheets of fabric on the ground. You are gonna catch your olives into those sheets. Then, once the sheets are down, you can see that the workers have sticks with rotating like fingers on the end. They are powered by this little engine that you see in the corner. So, back in the day, the olives were gathered by just smacking the trees with long sticks, and nowadays, this type of machine is used. As you can see, it's quite effective. A lot of fruit is actually falling down, and you can see how small those olives are. They are really tiny, size of raisins, compared to the olives you get in the jar, the Kalamata olives. So yeah, that's how it looks. Uh, I think this long stick is called tebla in Greek. I am not particularly sure. I will have to check it for you, or you can check yourself using Google. So you can see that the guys are gathering the olives here, and next step, you need to kind of, get them in one place because they are all over the sheets, right? So you will see in a moment what happens next. And while we are waiting to see what happens next, I think it's a great time for a little bit of history. Wild olives. So this is domesticated, what you see, right? Domesticated, like agriculturized. The wild olives. It is believed that they were brought to Greece and specifically to Crete by the Phoenicians. So they came from Asia Minor and then started spreading all over the Mediterranean Sea basin. And the Phoenicians also brought the processing method, the same as was used in Egypt. So, pressing the stones and extracting the olive oil from the seeds. And also, it is believed that the wild olive trees reached Greece in the 28th century before Christ. So, like 2,800 years before Christ, which is almost 5,000 years ago. That's like a lot of time. Um, However, this is not the first records of the olive oil. It is believed that production was started around 4,000 years before Christ in Crete, and even earlier, there are some finds that suggest that in the Galilee, the olive oil was produced 6,000 years before Christ. What you can see over here is the guys packaging the olives in the crates, in the boxes, and then they drop it into this weird shaky machine, right? The weird shaky machine serves a purpose, which is to separate the leaves and sticks from the actual fruit. You will see in a moment again, there is some mesh, so the olives fall through the holes into the deposit, and the leaves are getting discarded. Those leaves are actually still usable after being discarded like this. They are used as feed for animals, for goats and sheep. It is known that goats will eat anything, including your rubber shoes. So those leaves are perfectly well uh, used as the feed. So as you can see, the box is shaking, 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 and the olives drop directly into a bag. So this is how you get your olives packaged. Packaged in the bags, that is, because there is still quite a lot of steps that have to happen before the olives are turned into olive. Since we do have a little bit of time before we get to that, so the question that probably pops up in your head right now is, can the olives be eaten fresh? Can I eat them raw like this, straight from the tree? And the answer is no, you cannot. This is because the fresh olives contain bitter compounds. They are very bitter, they are not tasty at all. Those compounds are called oleoeuropein and phenolic. So, to get rid of the bitterness, the olives actually have to first be cured. You cure the olives in, first of all, in water for about a month, and then you further process them in brine, so in the salty water. And here we are. This is the next step in processing your olive oil. This is actually bringing the stuff into the oil press. You can see that there are cars filled with bags. It is the season for olives, so it is, very lively in the olive press. The way to get them from the bags into the boxes, you can see those big boxes. Each of the box is a different owner of the olives, so whenever you bring your olives in, they will be in your own assigned box crate. They are unloaded manually, no way around it. Has to be done like this. So yeah, let's take a moment to admire strongmen doing hard work. You can see in the video that generally the olives are in different colors, right? So in the shop you can just see them green or black, that's it. And here you see all of them mixed. Like, how come? Why don't they separate them by color? And the thing is that the olives start growing green, and then as they ripen, they do change color into this deep black or like mauve color. Uh, it's absolutely okay. It's not something weird. It's just that in the stores you can choose which you prefer. The green ones will have stronger taste, more bitter, more, well, olivey taste, and the black ones are going to be sweeter and more mild. All right, so now next step that we are seeing is taking the bags into the press, right? You can see that those olives are in the bags and some other are in the big boxes. So I believe it depends on how much olives you are actually having, how much you have to bring, if you need to take the bags back to your fields to bring some more. So yeah, this is it. With the forklifts, they are transported from outside into the building with the press, and now we can see that the transmission belt is taking them up somewhere. We will see in a moment where exactly. And while we are waiting for the next steps, let me tell you about the qualities of oil. Right? This is interesting. So you can often see in the shop that something is marketed as extra virgin olive oil or virgin olive oil. Right? This is actually the rating that depends on the acidity of the olive oil. So the extra virgin is the olive oil of the highest grade and the lowest acidity. This is how it's graded based on acidity. So what are we talking about? What values are we talking about? The free acidity of the extra virgin olive oil is 0.8%, and then the virgin is 0.8% to 2%. Anything above 2% is not deemed good to be consumed. And over here, what you can see is actually the washing process. So the transmission belt takes the olives into a washing station part of the machinery. They are washed out of dust, any stones, any weird leftover things, like most of the leaves are separated at this point, and then olives are sacked with a vacuum, right? So here you can see the cleaned washed olives are disappearing somewhere, and they do go in this tube, which leads to the crashing to the mill. So inside you have two stones that will just crash the olives and the seeds into a paste, and then the next step is mixing the olives. You can see a lot of stations, all of those have mixers inside. And why the olives are actually getting mixed? This is because after crashing, the pieces of oil like the particles of oil are very small, and mixing allows them to get bigger. So just bigger drops of oil are forming through this. You can see that there are some different colors in there. It depends on the batch, right? It depends if the batch had more green or more black. Not a problem. Okay. Next thing is actually separating the water from the oil. And this long tube you see over here, that's a centrifuge. Back in the day, it was the water was separated from the oil, but just letting it sit. But it was taking so much time. So in modern times, it is just centrifuge. By spinning very fast, you can see that the water is separated from the oil due to the different density and different weight of both things, right? Okay, so now that you know about the process of making the olive oil, let's go back to a little bit of extra info, because I know you love extra info, right? So actually, what causes the oil to not be extra virgin? What causes the acidity to go high? So actually, there are a few different factors that can cause this, namely unhealthy olives. So if you have infestation of olive flies or some parasites or mold, or if you delay your harvesting, if you harvest them too late, or if you store them too late, because olives, they have to be pressed max 24 hours after harvesting. This is it. The longer you wait, the more acidic it's gonna be. And also when the fruit is somehow, well, bruised, when it's not, beautiful and perfect, right? So any damage to the fruit will cause the acidity to be higher. Over here you can see how emptying the big crates look like. So with the forklift, transported, tilted, way faster if you ask me. But okay. Okay. So before we actually get to the next steps of the process, over here you can see the olive trickling, running. It is a bit murky, and this is because this is a fresh oil. It's not filtered. The olive press where we were filming is not filtering the olive, and it's just for the taste. It's just better. Like, ask anyone. The fresh olive oil is way better than the filtered one without the sediment. And when you get this kind of fresh oil that is unfiltered, if you leave it in your storage container, like those ones you can see over here, the sediment will eventually go to the bottom, and it's not an issue. It's just not an issue. So over here you can see the scale waiting for the container for the ready oil to hit 200. Right, and here we go. Filling with a gas gun. It looks like those guns you get on the gas station, right, to fill your car. Okay, so what are the sizes of the boxes that we see? The bigger ones, the green ones, are about 16 or 17 liters that you can put in each of those, and the smaller ones you saw on the right, they are about 5 liters. So it absolutely depends on you. It depends on your preference, how you want to store them, what storage capacity you have, right? It's up to the farmer to say, hey, I want my oil in those, or I want my oil in the big ones, right? Yeah, this is it. The last thing I can tell you is about the symbolism of oil and olives in general, right? Do you know why Athens are called Athens, for example? Right, Athens are called Athens. According to the myth, because Athena, the goddess Athena, gifted olives to the city. And this was a kind of competition, right, with Poseidon, the god of the sea, who gifted Athens with a salty spring. However, the people have decided that olives are more precious than salty spring. So that's why Athens are called Athens. And this is it, guys. We got our olive oil ready. We are done. So the last thing I wanted to say is a big, big, big thank you to the whole crew of the olive press. I will link the website of the press in the description so you can learn even more about the place and even more about how they work and the processes of making olive oil. So big thank you, and see you in the next video.